My fiancée told me I needed to fix myself and get out of her apartment, then demanded I still pay half the rent. I took back the wedding money and she went nuclear. Toronto, Ontario. I'm not sure if this is the right place for this. Please forgive the long post. My 28M fiancée, 28F, has always been very controlling. She gets upset when I don't do things exactly right and often contradicts herself. She wants me to go out and be more social, but will call and yell at me when I do. She wants me off my phone but sits there on hers. She wants me to go to the gym but complains when I'm there too long. Honestly, I've been pretty love-struck, so I didn't really pick up on these things until everything fell apart. She has a bit of a drinking problem. Not that she drinks constantly, but when she does, she doesn't know her limit. With wedding planning and my busy work schedule to pay for the wedding, she tends to go out on weekends with her girlfriends since I'm home late anyway, and she enjoys it, so she deserves to unwind after a busy week. We typically do lunches and overnight trips when my schedule will allow it, and when I'm off in the evenings we make dinner together to connect. She's nitpicked before, but I kind of wrote it off as her personality and always adjusted. X. She didn't want me running the washer-dryer so much, so I went from twice to once a week. I work 2 jobs and one is construction, so my clothes get dirty fast. She thought I had too much clothes even though we each have the same storage space, so I donated the clothes she didn't like. She didn't like when I cooked late coming home from my second job, event staff, so I would pick something up on the way home. I felt like this was regular couple stuff. All in all, she's been excited about the wedding and our new apartment, so I thought everything was good. Long story short, a few weeks ago she came home hammered, which is nothing new, but she got outright mean. I wrote it off as just being drunk. Sometimes she playfully teases me when she's drinking, but when she sobered up, she was still really mean. Her controlling attitude escalated until she was pretty much unbearable, and she ended up telling me she deserved better and that she wanted to start over and I needed to leave. She started listing all these weird faults. I don't get along with her friends who I've never met because they don't live in our country. I don't make an effort with her family. I'm very close to her brother. We game often together and we have dinner with her parents once a month, and that I'm too dependent on her. I do tend to put her first a lot, but I kind of thought that was normal. Then she basically told me to leave. I gave her some space and slept at my brother's a few nights, asking how he thought I should fix this, and it was then that he pointed out that she is kind of abusive, so maybe this was a good thing, I don't know. She's still the love of my life, and I can't wrap my head around all this. After a few nights, I went back because I needed more clothes, but also because I wanted to see if we could talk things out. She flat out refused and said her friends all agreed. My issue now is she is downright hostile. She is nice every so often when she wants something, but other than that, she is short, cold, often annoyed. She basically said we're done and she's keeping the apartment and I need to figure it out. Then radio silence for a month, outside of a few drunk I miss you texts while I couch hopped. The last time I went over to grab clothes, she kissed me and basically said she wished things could be different and talked about the proposal and all the little things we've done together. So I tried to talk it out again, but she got super angry and kicked me out again. Now, she is telling me I need to pay half the rent because I'm on the lease. I spoke to the landlord about potentially removing me from the lease, but he said she has to agree, and she's refusing. She's refusing to agree to sign the lease over to someone else. What can I even do here? My brother pointed out that since I'm on the lease, she can't keep me from staying there. But the apartment is small, being practically on top of one another. I can't see how it will work with her behavior. She's refusing to even be civil. I asked her to reconsider finding a new tenant, and she basically says she doesn't see why she should have to move just because I couldn't change. My brother said I could make a case for abuse to get off the lease, but I don't want to do that to her. She can be mean, but she's a nice person, and we've been together for 6 years. I just feel like that's a step too far. My mother agrees. I honestly don't think this is abuse. Is this abuse? They're really pushing that I go forward with this, especially after my brother read some texts. But I feel like if I end the tenancy citing abuse, that's dishonest and could further upset her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She's extremely controlling and seems abusive. IDK about Ontario. But where I live, if 2 parties are on a lease, they're both responsible. But if one person leaves, the other person is 100% responsible. Look up the laws where you live. You may be able to just leave and not be responsible. Sorry you're going through this. I hope you can heal from this quickly. OP. She's honestly a nice person. Everyone seems to love her, but I think I'm starting to see our relationship was imbalanced. I have tried looking it up, and it seems even if I leave, if my name is on the lease, I am on the hook. The landlord agreed to hand the lease off to someone else, but she's just flat out refusing. And I don't get why. If she wants to start over, I'd think starting over in a new place would be what she wanted. It also says, I can't change the lease unless she agrees. Commenter 2. At first I thought that the purpose of your post was to get advice about whether to cancel the wedding engagement and break up. But it sounds like actually you're just asking about how to handle the apartment lease? I think she's abusive, but even if I'm wrong, the bottom line is that regardless of whether her behavior fits the exact definition of abusive, she's hostile and selfish and unstable and drunk. Hopefully you've decided you're not going to marry this train wreck. You don't want to spend 50 years with this toxic person, right? As for the apartment lease, go consult an expert. Go see a lawyer who knows about local rent laws. If you can't afford that, in some cities there are non-profit tenant rights organizations that have lawyers who do pro bono consultations. OP. I definitely will see about a lawyer. It was more to confirm if this is abuse, because if it is, they may let me off the lease without her permission. Commenter 3. She can be mean, but she's a nice person. OP. I know. My brother keeps pointing out how ridiculous that is to say too. I should say she's nice to other people, even though she's sometimes mean to me. Commenter 4. If her friends live in a different country, then who are the friends she's drinking with? Do you know them? She seems to spend a lot of time with friends. Is that via her phone/computer or in person? I don't know that I believe much about this version of events. You depict yourself in a very strange manner. Calculating, perhaps? However, I agree that your ex is a very disagreeable lady, and you should have no compunction in getting her out of your life by whatever means necessary. Good luck. Wise up. Move on. OP. She hangs out with her friends from work, who I know. But when she ended things, she said it was because I didn't make an effort with specific friends who are very important to her, who are online friends I have never met or had the opportunity to connect with. Commenter 5. She can be mean, but she's a nice person. Great. So are we just making up new meanings for words? Because that sentence doesn't make any fucking sense. OP. Yeah, you're right. I meant more in the sense that she is a nice person outside of our relationship, and I had thought in our relationship outside of disagreements. She gets along with everyone at her jobs, enough to build friendships and go out with them on weekends. She has gaming friends, and just seems overall very personable. Commenter 6. Just curious, which parts of her behavior seem nice to you? She has been downright awful to you. She manipulates you, tries to control you, gaslights you, takes zero responsibility for her role in the relationship. Think your lucky stars aren't marrying her. Your brother is correct. Give her a choice. She agrees to take you off the lease or you will make a case against her. OP. Before all this, she got along really well with my family. She is thoughtful with her coworkers with shifts and stuff like that and always made a point to include my mother in things. My mom really loved her up until these past few months. Honestly, even outings and dates, we were really good. It's almost like we got home and she was always irritated. I'm gonna try again to discuss the apartment with her, but I feel like with the tenant laws here, I'm kind of stuck if she doesn't agree, and I don't decide to try to get off because of abuse. Update 1. Things have kind of snowballed out of control. A day or so after I made the first post, my brother sat me down and kind of discussed a game plan with me. The first thing he told me to do was take the money I'd put in a joint account meant for our wedding out, since she had access to that, and she was pretty pissed at me. Not sure why, since she ended things, and I only recently found out it was because she cheated. I had been saving for over a year, sometimes putting in as much as $600 a month, and I also put my Christmas bonus in there. I don't know what I expected to happen after I did that, but things escalated pretty quickly after that. I had screenshots of how out of control the texts got, but it won't let me add them to this post. The long and short of it was she was upset that I all but emptied the account, only leaving what she had contributed. She had only put a couple thousand in because toward the beginning of planning, she decided I should be the one to pay for the bulk of the wedding. Looking back now, I can't believe I agreed. Her argument was that I should have kept all my money in the account to pay for my portion of the rent and that I had stolen from her. She kept calling me a thief, even when I showed her a screenshot of my banking transfers into the account, and that I only transferred out that exact amount. She only got more upset because I refused to talk to her in person or answer the phone so I could have everything we discussed in text. She had her dad call me basically telling me to do the right thing, which just meant to give her all the money I'd saved since it was for her anyways. When I refused, she started calling my mother almost non-stop. She would start calling her around 9 p.m. and sometimes wouldn't stop until 1 a.m. At first, I told my mom to block her number, but my brother said to just put it on silent so we had a record of how often she was calling. One night she called my mom 36 times. My mother has been having some health issues since my father passed in June, so my sister has been living with her, and the calls obviously made my sister upset. And it's a whole thing now. My sister ended up filing a harassment report with the police, and we're hoping that will help me get off the lease if we can prove she's being abusive. She also called both my ex and her father and told them if they had anything to say, it would go through her. I filled out an N-15 form, but the officer I spoke to about the harassment didn't seem convinced it would be approved because he wouldn't classify this as domestic abuse. I guess I'll just have to cross my fingers and hope for the best. All this definitely showed me who she is. I didn't think I could fall out of love with someone so quickly. Thanks for all the replies to my initial post. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Inform your employer first thing Monday about the harassment. Take your evidence, explain what's happening, and that way when she shows up at your job, she can be immediately trespassed. OP. I actually hadn't considered this. Thank you. I'll let both my employers know. Commenter 2. I'd talk to your landlord in person, show the harassment, the escalation, that you need to get out of here and the only tie left is the lease. You might not legally have a case yet, but if there's good cause, some will work with you. Let them know you physically vacated on whatever date. OP. I spoke to the landlord shortly after the breakup, and he was very clear about my options. Based on how dismissive he was of everything, I don't see that changing unless she agrees to have the lease reassigned to her. Commenter 3. I'm glad for you that she ended it. She is one huge red flags. Please work on your self-respect and worth so you don't put up with this again. You may want to see an attorney and make her communicate with them. When does your lease run out? OP. I'm in the process of looking for an attorney. Unfortunately, the lease is until October 2026. Final update. I tried to post this a week or so ago, and it didn't go through because how close the posts were, but I knew there were a few people who wanted updates. Fingers crossed this time it works. First and foremost, thanks to everyone who messaged me offering advice and resources. It made a huge difference. I have a lot to update on, but I'll try to keep it short. Once I was out, the pattern of abuse became more evident. The emotional roller coaster she always had me on was one I didn't really realize I got on. Until I finally got off, I went into the apartment with my sister, F36, while my ex, F28, was at work to clear out all my stuff. I was initially going to go with my brother, M34, but in the calls to my mother, between 5 and 20 a night on weekends, she sometimes physically threatened people, and my sister wanted to be there in case she did get physical, since my brother and I wouldn't be able to do much if she did. Obviously, neither of us would hit her or anything, so this made the most sense. The police also didn't seem to want to accompany us. We cleared the bulk of my stuff out, but unfortunately, she did come home early because, well, that's been my luck lately. She yelled a bunch, which we ignored, but unfortunately, my sister spoke to her before we left because a bunch of my stuff was missing. I didn't care about a lot of it at this point, but my sister was upset the PS5 was missing, so she told her she didn't know where she put it, but she needed to get it because she wasn't leaving without it. Tensions were obviously high, as my sister is currently living with my mom taking care of her, so she's been present for the non-stop calls on the weekends. When my sister kept pressing her about it and ignoring everything else she was saying, my ex picked up a picture frame and threw it at me for bringing her here. At this point, everything boiled over. My sister got between us, and when she slapped my sister, a fight ensued. Long story short, police arrived, and my sister told them she wanted to file another report, which made my ex surrender the PS5 and admit she had thrown a bunch away. Because of all this, the landlord was made aware, and I've been taken off the lease. A few days after, her mother called me. She basically wanted me to reconsider the reports filed because she was worried my ex would have charges that would follow her around, and she didn't think it was fair after I called off the wedding and abandoned her. I told her that she needed to have a conversation with my ex about the lies she was telling and her harassing my mother before I hung up. That's the long and short of it. Hopefully I'm done now, and there won't be any more updates. Thanks for listening to me and helping me through all this. I don't know what came from that conversation, but her mother did send mine flowers, so I'm guessing at least some truth came out. Anyway, I'm hoping to put all this behind me at this point. Now that I'm done with the apartment headache, I am going to grief counseling with my family and working on starting over. Relevant comments. OOP responds to a long comment regarding getting counseling and frees his credit so his ex doesn't do anything stupid. OP. This is all amazing advice. My mother and sister have restraining orders at this time. It's all been really crazy, and I'm truly grateful to be out of the thick of it, hopefully. And I've spoken with her brother, and it seems like at least he and her mom are backing her into a corner and questioning her for what she originally told them and her behavior. I'm hoping, if nothing else, that pressure from her family will keep her from keeping up a lot of her behavior since the split. If not, we have next steps planned. Commenter 1. I'm glad you are out and safe. Do not drop the charges. If she isn't ever held accountable, what's going to happen in her next relationship? Charges won't ruin her life and will hopefully act as a wake-up call. If the charges are dropped, then she doesn't learn anything, and who knows what she will do to future people in her life. OP. We have no plans to drop any charges. As much as I loved her once, I'll never forgive her for what she did to my mother while grieving. Downvoted commenter. I don't understand why you and your family haven't blocked her and her entire family and kept receiving calls, harassment, from them. She and her family are terrible people, seeing how her parents have downplayed her criminal behavior. Do not withdraw the charges and let the police prosecute her to the fullest extent of the law. She assaulted not just you, but your sister too, and she's a thief on top of it all. OP, because you need a record of the harassment in order to get a protective order, restraining order. If we blocked too soon, it would be our word against hers, and likely my mother and sister wouldn't have been able to file charges. Commenter do. Also, thank whatever power you believe in this happened before the wedding. OP, I'd like to believe it was my dad protecting me one last time. Commenter 3, I'm proud of you getting out. Please don't drop the charges, OP. Considering that you are a man and she's a woman, those cases are often dismissed. If you leave the charges, if she does this to someone else in the future, the police will be much more likely to believe the next man, and maybe help him sooner than they did with you. Smart bringing your sister though. Woman versus woman fight, police will listen, instead of automatically assume who's at fault. I also live in Toronto. OP. Yeah. I was nervous at first having my sister there, but she was right. She's amazing and had my back, and the police listened to her kind of without question, especially with the reports of the calls. I'm very lucky to have a sister willing to quite literally go to bat for me. If she wasn't there, I doubt it would have ended well for me.